Good evening, and thank you to the Lancaster newspapers for holding this forum tonight. In less than 2 weeks, the voters will be asked to decide who is best suited to serve as mayor for the next 4 years. In making that decision, I'd ask the voters to ask themselves 3 questions. First, who has the leadership ability and the temperament to best serve as mayor? A good mayor takes responsibility for mistakes, gives credit to others for any successes, tells people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear, and surrounds himself with advisors who know what they're doing and are willing to challenge and disagree with the mayor. The record shows my opponent is not an effective leader. The second question for voters is, which of us is in touch with the realities of today's Lancaster? Lancaster is a much different city than it was 8 years ago. Much has changed since my opponent left office. I would argue that Lancaster is a far better city. My opponent disagrees. In fact, at last week's NAACP debate, when asked what improvement occurred in the last 4 years in the city of Lancaster, what was better, Mr. Smithgall responded he couldn't think of anything positive that's happened in the last 8 years. His response is a clear indication that he's out of touch with what the city has become since he left office. Thanks to many people inside government and the outside in our own community, we've come a long way in those 8 years, and much remains to be done. Finally, I'd ask the voters to consider who has the vision and a plan for the city's future. My decision to run for mayor was after long and careful consideration as to what I have to offer city residents. Make no mistake, I'm a candidate by intention, not by surprise. I know what I want to accomplish in the city. On the other hand, my opponent comes as a reluctant candidate who was surprised by a write-in effort that he knew nothing about. He didn't decide to run for mayor, he didn't consider what his goals might be or what he'd like to accomplish. Instead, his candidacy came as a surprise, even to him. Given those circumstances, Charlie Smithgall does not have a vision or plan for the city's future. I believe the future is full of possibility, potential, and opportunity. I'm prepared to provide the leadership we need to reach that potential and to seize those opportunities. I look forward to discussing that vision tonight, and I welcome your questions. Thank you.
First of all, making sure this works. It's been a long time since I've been down here, and it sounds as if it's never perfect. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Lancaster newspapers for having us here this evening. Many of you know me as the former mayor, what I really want to be the next mayor. I'm proud of the record I built when I was mayor, but rather than spelling out the record, I'd like to tell you what the Lancaster Mirror wrote in an editorial when I left office. Quote, Smithgall presided over what many viewed as the city's largest economic and cultural expansion in 30 years. Falling crime rates, safer neighborhoods, improved city services, booming arts sector, and downtown revitalization all had Smithgall's imprint. Unquote. Example, baseball stadium, Vince Park, the Keystone Opportunity Zone, Old Bank and Lancaster General Hospital expansion, bus station, Armstrong's new floor plant, F&M College Row, starting the cleanup of the old Armstrong lot that was a very contaminated property, neighborhood policing, and doesn't that sound like progress in the city? The city now faces new challenges, some brought on by the economy, some brought on by leadership focused too little on the needs of the residents. Let's look at the last 8 years. Property taxes have increased 60%. We've cut the number of police and fire, and they also always propose fire expansion and the equipment they need. Even that is risen out of control. It's risen over $50 million more during the last 8 years than it has when I served as mayor. An ever-increasing unfunded pension liability that will cause property taxes to skyrocket if not addressed. What's been the result of this lack of leadership? We have lost long-time residents in established neighborhoods because they can't afford the taxes. Violent crime rates have increased to twice the national average. We've seen tragic and possibly preventable deaths of our citizens. And our commercial districts and economy suffer more than they should. It's the factors like these that drive me to run for mayor again. I am committed to progress in all these areas. I will restore fiscal discipline to control taxes and pay down debt. I will restore our police force and keep our residents safe. And as I did when I was mayor before, I will lead by example. I will refuse the taxpayers' pension, and I ask Mr. Gray tonight if he'll do the same.